Now, yeah, he's the one that I got to explain to Mary Michele. When we were over at Pit Stop doing a remote, we said the next person who comes in and says they heard it on VF, there was something we said. This guy comes running up in his car. I don't know where you were going, but you had the dog in the front seat. You just slammed the car, brakes on, and you came in. Now I know who you are. Am I right?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Okay.
I remember now. Good morning.
Good morning. Did you have a particular question?
Yeah, I just sent her out last night to be bred, and I'm wondering hopefully it will be successful because it's a big procedure and it's artificial insemination. And I was hopefully wondering if you could tell me any more about it. Because last time I bred her was not successful.
Well, it's according to your chart, it's a very good time to be working with issues of nurturing and caring for people. So, do you know when she was born?
Yeah, she was born June 6,
I'm sorry?
June 6, 1993.
93. Are you supposed to know immediately whether she's going to whether the pregnancy will take or not?
Well, I put her out last night. I sent her out, and she's away. And when she comes back, then I have to nurture the puppies and everything because they have no maternal instinct.
Right, but I mean, will you know right away whether it's taken, whether she's actually, been able to get pregnant, or?
No, you don't know right away.
You don't know right away.
Unless an ultrasound is done.
Right, exactly. And it's a 3-month period, isn't it, for dogs?
Yes.
Yeah.
3 days.
So that's July, August, September. Well, I think if the puppies would come towards the end of September, there's a good chance that it will take. Is that what the time frame is, do you think, the end of September?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance. As a rule, the signs that are ruled by Mercury, there is a tendency to be a little too quick with the way one deals with things and so on. So sometimes and she's, a Mercury-ruled dog, whatever. But anyway, it's a very, very good time for you to have done this. I think you will get a lot out of this, and there will be a closeness that will develop between you and her that, I know the unconditional love of a dog and how important it is. So I think this is a very, very good time for you to have done it. Let's see. Was there something else that you wanted to?
Anything in general.
Anything in general. Okay. It's also a good time for you to be involved with someone. Are you in a relationship?
No.
No. Well, it's a good time from now until the 22nd of July. I think even someone that would not necessarily be someone that you would think of as being, initially that interesting, it's a good time for you to explore new ways of being with someone and nurturing them and taking care of them and so on. I think you'd have a lot of response. You can take the initiative now and feel that you will get response back. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, Billy, thanks for calling in. All right, on line 3, we have Ann from Bedford. Date of birth, March 3rd, 1945. And I wonder if the Bedford Post Office found you with the AARP card. They found me. Good morning, Ann.
Morning.
How are you? Are you watching or listening, by the way?
Watching.
Okay. We're waving at you again. March 3rd, 1945. You're on with Mary Michele.
Okay, was there a particular question that you had?
Yes, I wondered if you could tell me what the status of my marriage is. We're having some problems. We're in counseling.
This is a very good month to do something about it. This Grand Trine in Water that I was talking about that's coming up the 22nd of July, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's dug up between now and then. The therapy will get more intense. But I think whatever the decision is, you will feel a whole lot better about it after the 22nd of July. You've got a very strong watery chart, and this grand trine are in the water signs. You have the sun in Pisces, you have the moon in Scorpio, you have Jupiter and Saturn. Are you a mother?
Yes.
Yeah. Are some of these issues around the children?
Not primarily.
No. Well, that's the thing that, I know this sounds kind of obvious, but that's the thing that is pulling at you the most. You have Saturn in the sign of Cancer, which means that the part that is the heart, Saturn is where we have our greatest struggle, and Cancer is the sign of motherhood. So, you're always feeling torn about this relationship in terms of the children. I can't say exactly how it's going to turn out, but I think that you are going to initiate more emotional upheaval from now until the 22nd, and after the 22nd, you will have a response that you'll feel comfortable with. Is that helpful?
Yes and no. It's we're still in counseling, although my husband actually has already moved out. Feels, we're both very sad about it, but he feels it's sort of that's the only way we can continue to function.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I'm still conflicted whether I want him to move back or not. There's good and bad on both sides.
Right. But as I say, after the 22nd of July, you'll feel better about it. You have Mercury in, which is the mind, which is what's making you ruminate about it, in the sign of Pisces, and that guy that I was talking about a minute ago, Saturn, is right now sitting on your mind. So it's also giving you difficulties with this idea of being logical or realistic or factual in the way that you're handling things. You will feel better as of the 22nd of July, but you might not come to some kind of a clear-cut answer until Saturn goes direct, which is in November.
One other question?
Yes.
This is a weird one, but there's an old boyfriend of mine that's sort of been light contact with me by phone.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that has any potential for the future, if my husband...
Well, again, I would watch very closely what's going to happen from now until November with this old new guy, because you have to really figure out whether he's trustworthy or not. And I think that it will become clearer to you, and you probably won't want to make a decision until November.
And the children will be okay?
Your children are going to be fine, but you're going to worry about them more than you need to.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Have a good day. Mary Michele, we have another caller now, if you're ready. Stephanie is on line 4, date of birth, September 22nd, 1964, 11/22/64. Stephanie, you're calling from Mount Kisco?
September, you said.
September, when
9/22/64.
Hey, okay. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
I wanted to ask, do you see marriage in my future, and how would my business go? I just started a business.
9/22. Is this the first time you've started a business?
Yes.
Well, you've wanted to for a very long time.
Yes.
Let's see. I really feel that you're someone with the with the sun in Virgo, and you have Mercury in Virgo, and you have Uranus in Virgo, and Pluto in Virgo. Virgo is the person that will make a business work. It's a very hard-working sign, and they go very easily with the flow. If things if things change quickly, Virgo will reanalyze it and make it work again. Is it? Let's see. What kind of a business is it? Is it?
Graphics.
Graphics. Oh, perfect. This is perfect. Yes. Yeah, I think you should have fun with it. I think you should have some new clients probably around the 10th of August.
Oh, good.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Stephanie, thank you for calling in. Candace is back on the line. Candace was the nice lady from Mohegan Lake we were talking to before, and then there was this accident in front of her house. April 13th, 1961. Candace, are you there again?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, thank you for calling 911, by the way. We checked with them right afterward. They hadn't even gotten the cars there yet, so we appreciate your help, and always remember, call 911 in an emergency. Now you've called Mary Michele. Good morning.
Okay, April 13th, 1961. Right, we were talking about, were we talking about your children? Is that what?
I have one.
You have one child. Is it a boy child?
No, it's a girl.
It's a girl. You know, you have all this Aries influence. You know, you have the Sun in Aries, you have Moon in Aries, you have Mercury in Aries, you have Venus in Aries. You're very fiery. You know, you're very. Let's start the fire. Let's go have a good time. You remember that song of Billy Joel's? Well, anyway, you have it's very creative, and it's but you need to do something with it. Do you have a hobby or an outlet of some sort?
No, not right now.
Are you athletic?
Used to be.
I'm sorry?
Used to be.
You used to be. Okay, you have to do this again. This is really, really important for you to start getting physical again, and this will start the ball rolling so that your mind can start thinking about creating new possibilities and new initiatives and so on. Is your husband athletic?
No.
No. Was he?
Maybe years ago.
Yeah. Do you think you could maybe try and get him to do it with you?
Try.
Sorry?
I can try.
Yeah. I think you really need to start that the creative juices going. You know, all that fire, if you don't do something with it, it smolders.
Okay.
Okay, and then the anger turns inwards from the smoldering fire, and there's a tendency to depression. Depression is anger turned inwards. So you have to get out. You know, you have to go, whatever it is that you like to do, even if it's just walking. It doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be something really terribly exciting. You don't have to jump out of airplanes or something like that.
Right.
Although you probably would want to. But really, please start to do something along those lines, and you know, do it with the same quickness of thought that you made the phone call just now to get the 911 people. You have that ability to make things happen with a bang. And
What about my health?
your health? Well, you know, the health is going to be tied up with this smoldering fire. You need to get out. You need to. I hear a dog. Do you go running with him?
No.
You got to go. You have to. Your health. There will be no problem with your health as long as you get out.
Okay.
Okay.
What about my daughter? Hers is March 28, 79.
Lucky person, you got a 16-year-old in the house.
I do.
March 28th. Okay. She's got the same thing. She's got the Sun and Moon in Aries as well. Is she physically active?
Pretty much with her horses.
Neither one of you have a particularly healthy Mars, which is the planet that rules all this Aries stuff. So you have to learn how to let yourself be more assertive.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for calling. Okay, on line 3 now is Lillian. Lillian is calling from Yorktown. Date of birth, September 25th, 1931. September 25th, 1931. Lillian, are you watching or are you listening?
Right now, listening.
Oh, okay, but do you watch every so often?
I do quite often.
Oh, good. Nice to hear that. You're on with Mary Michele.
Morning. September 25th. Well, the sun sign changed late that year. You are the first day of Libra. with the moon in Pisces and Mercury in Virgo. Was there a particular question that you had?
Well, I seem to come to a stump in my life right now. And I don't think it's the age. And I'm just wondering, will this depression, will it lift? And,
Are you married?
Mm-hmm.
Are there some unresolved issues within the relationship?
Just, I've reached a peak where I feel there's nothing tomorrow. It's like yesterday, and today's yesterday, and, things have been just not any particular reason, just myself. It's like I've taken stock of my life right now, okay, and the shelves are empty.
Mm-hmm. Well, your moon is in the sign of Pisces, which is a very gentle moon, but it's also, it's gentler for others than it is for yourself. And Saturn's going over it, so there might be unresolved issues of how you dealt with your mother. I know this kind of sounds psychological, but anyway, the way in which your mother raised you was a very strong unconditional love kind of thing, but there might have been not quite enough structure in the way that you were raised. I think the thing that you need to really think about a lot now are probably not too heavy things. You need to work with beauty. Do you garden?
No.
No. What do you like to do? Do you like to go to the theater? Do you like to go to art shows? Do you like to do something creative?
Yes.
Okay. What is it?
Theater, dancing, reading, people.
It should be something very hands-on. You ought to do things like go through your wardrobe and reconstruct your whole clothes and stuff. Have a look at it. You want to get very, very specific with doing things of a artistic nature, but it doesn't have to be high art. But start buy a new lipstick, go to the hairdresser, do things like that. Okay, I'm sorry, we have to go.
Okay, thank you very much. On line 4 now is Allison. We're not going to be able to take too many more phone calls. Line 4 is Allison from Yorktown. Date of birth, November 8th, 1971. Good morning, Allison. You watching or are you listening?
I'm watching.
Oh, okay. Good morning to you. You're on with Mary Michele.
Hi.
Good morning.
I kind of wanted to know what the year will bring for me. I'm a very busy person. I have a lot of jobs, and I feel like I'm kind of coming to a crossroads kind of point.
November 8th. November 8th?
Yes.
71. Okay. I'll tell you, the last 10 years have been a difficult time in terms of you feeling you've been digging, you've been, storing the garden, you've been working with the compost heap. Things are starting now to come back, and as of the middle of November, there will be a big shift, and you will know exactly that you're working in the right direction. I'm sorry.
Anything else in particular?
No.
Okay, well, we thank you for calling, Allison. On line 5, we've got Diane from Mohegan Lake. July 23rd, 1949. July 23rd, 1949. Good morning. Are you listening or are you TV on today?
Excuse me?
Are you listening or are you watching today?
I lowered it so that
Oh, okay, good. All right, Diane, you're on with Mary Michele.
Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Good morning. July 23rd, 1949?
Right.
Okay. Was there a specific question?
Well, the last 6 years, I've had a lot of pain and grief in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I was always a happy-go-lucky person, okay? I had a loss. But other than that, I am now in the process of trying, and I was wondering if my stars are in the same thing. I need a major change. I feel I do, in every aspect. I wonder if you set my chart, am I still going to continue to be in that it was almost 7 years now. It seems that it was nothing but grief and pain.
You have the sun and moon in Cancer. and Mercury in Cancer. Things will come to a head towards the end of the month. This grand trine in water is going to affect you very strongly. So I believe that whatever you're feeling now is going to continue, although it will become, you might have a little bit of a blip where you'll go back within the next week or two, and then it will come to some kind of a conclusion, or you will emotionally feel better and better. And then again, in terms of the end of November, December is when things will start, you'll start finding new projects to do and new ways of looking at things.
Then you see that might better things for me coming.
There are always things coming. Yeah, it's a question of what we do with them.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay. Yes. No. You'll definitely be. You'll start new things. Do you work now?
No, but I want to go back to work.
Well, I think you ought to work with people. You ought to be in some kind of a social area. Where you're interacting with a lot of people.
And that's it. But you just see in the next 2 weeks something coming to a head.
Yes.
That's very surprising because I have something very major coming up.
Right. The 22nd of July, it will be clear, but you are working through the process, and don't let up on it. Be very.
I'll stand up and be strong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Real quick, on line one is Michelle, December 10th, 1974, calling from Katona. Good morning, Michelle.
Wait a minute.
December 10th, 1974. We have about 30 seconds. Michelle, what's your question, please?
Since we just have a short time, a little bit about love. What's in my future, I guess, because I've been a little bit confused lately. So just what you see in the future, because things haven't, been going that great.
Okay, we got about 30 seconds, Mary Michelle.
It will get better after the 1st of August. You'll feel better. You'll have more initiative to go out there. And are you involved with someone presently? Is that what you asked me about, emotional?
Yes.
Are you involved with someone presently?
No, I'm not.
No. The month of August is a very good time to go out and take the initiative and find something, for yourself in that area.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Mary Michelle, we have run out of time. I mean, the phones have been going crazy. You'll be back next Friday, did I hear?
Yes.
Okay, you'll be back next Friday. So, Patrick, if you'll hold for 1 second, perhaps we can get Mary Michelle. Patrick seems to have been gone already. Okay. But Mary Michelle will be back next Friday. We do thank you for joining with us. Mike Sarnoff with you. Have a great weekend, Mary Michelle.
Thank you.
To all of you also, 77 degrees outside. Chance of some late-day showers and thunderstorms today in the mid-80s. Stay tuned now for ABC News at WVIP Mount Kisco, followed by Lee Maribal, and then at 12 noon, Judy Jarvis, right here at 1310 WVIP Mount Kisco. It's 10 o'clock. Our guest is Mary Michele, our astrologer.
Good morning.
You're reading a book there. I don't know if I'm supposed to take umbrance to this or not. Astrology and the Man.
Well, it's just a colloquialism. I don't think that it's necessarily just men. It's about everybody.
I just wanted to make sure you were PC politically correct on that.
Well, of course I am.
By the way, Mary Michele will be taking your calls, 241-1310. Good time to get in. We do have a couple of open lines now, 241-1310. What is the book telling you, by the way?
The book is written about a rather famous astrologer. I'm sure you've seen him in your local bookstore, called Sidney Omar. And he was very successful on television and radio in the 50s and 60s and so on. And he's, very successful today with his books, and he did a lot of interviews with Merv Griffin. And I think he did a lot to further the understanding of astrology. He was someone that really had a lot of enthusiasm. Is someone that has a lot of enthusiasm. But in those days, there was a lot of controversy, and he, I think, helped dispel some of the controversy that one of the things that I wanted to mention was something that he wrote in here about the various holidays. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it was because I know how important environmental issues are today. And I think for environmentalists, it's important to recognize that one of the things you have to get in touch with is the planet. And it's important to know when the different holidays that celebrate nature actually happen. And those are things like the equinoxes and solstices. So I'm just going to read you something that he put together, talking about the the different, how they interconnect. For example, Passover begins on the day of the first full moon after the vernal equinox, the beginning of spring and of the astrological year, when day and night are exactly the same length. The end of Lent, or Easter Sunday, is always the first Sunday after the full moon after the vernal equinox. It was the Emperor Constantine who declared that the day of the sun, Sunday, should be the Christian Sabbath, and the idea of Christianity, of course, is one God. In the Orient, the new year begins at the time of the new moon after the sun enters Aquarius, and it is termed Tet. This is when, we have the Chinese New Year, all the animals and so on. The Jewish New Year is set by the new moon in Libra, the zodiacal sign of the scales and the law. And the first day of Ramadan, which begins the most holy period of fasting and penitence for the Muslims, also is marked by this new moon in Libra. So as you can see, it's a lot of connection with the earth when you talk about these different sciences, astrology, numerology, and also the religions. They took this into consideration because we need to know about the seasons and how things shift and what the earth needs. So I think it's important for environmentalists to take a little more consideration and interest in the Farmer's Almanac and things that have to do with the cycles of the earth.
Okay, the Farmer's Almanac. I mean, you mentioned this, and I'm sitting here all of a sudden getting like this in my head. They had predicted such a horrible winter this last winter, and it wasn't that bad.
Well, this is the problem. It's never 100% accurate, but it's important to look at the cycles, because I think that the cycles, you might see other things that connect to it. It might not actually be the weather. There might be other things that happened. I can't think right off the top of my head what it might have been, but there might have been, certain, like the strike that's coming up. There might have been certain things that happened in areas that don't exactly relate to the weather, but the weather affects them, like, strikes or airplane problems or, train problems or car problems or, things of that like. You have to use your imagination with this. You can't see it as being one fixed thing. The imagination is a very, very powerful tool, and what happens, the difficult side of the imagination is that we sometimes let it go out of control without keeping it in checks and balances. And this is what happens with people that overindulge in some way and get excessive. But on the other side, what happens then is that people also stop thinking about the fact that, or allowing themselves to use their imagination to intuit things, to recognize when a thought comes to you, when the first thing that comes to you is valid, it has some truth. Your unconscious is trying to tell you something. So there's two sides to it, and one of the things that I wanted to talk a little bit about today was the planet Neptune along those lines.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Can we take a couple of phone calls here?
Definitely.
Let's start there. Good morning to Paula from Putnam Valley. Her date of birth, August 23rd, 1937, 8/23/37. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning, Paula.
Are you there, Paula?
Good morning. Now everybody in Putnam Valley knows my age.
Well, that's all right. You should be very proud of it.
They don't know your last name.
Listen, my sons don't even know how old I am.
Well, then you're in trouble. Are you watching or are you listening, by the way?
Watching.
Okay, good morning to you. We're all saying good morning to you. Okay.
August 23rd, 1937, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have the sun in Leo and the moon in Aries. No, wait. The moon in Pisces. Was there a particular question?
Yeah, I never understood what you just said. Like reading, my horoscope and...
Okay, well...
I don't understand that stuff.
You don't understand it? You have to think of associative images. What does the sun bring to mind? Can you think of something like Louis XIV and his court of a lot of pomp and ceremony and, drama? He was technically a Virgo, but he was very close to Leo, like you. And the nature of Leo is that there's a quality of fun attached to ceremony and anything to do with pageantry or ritual, or there's something sort of, there's a lot of enthusiasm. Does that ring true about your son?
Yeah.
Yes. The moon in Pisces, contrary to that, and the moon is your unconscious, right? The moon is the part of yourself that you're not as aware of, but it will come up and it will be the thing that will cause you to feel things differently than what the conscious mind wants to talk about. And the moon in Pisces is about being very much hidden. It's completely different from the sun in Leo. It's about, wanting to stay in the background and wanting to be